Greetings and welcome back to yet another episode of the Daily Run, and today we're playing as Azazel. With Azazel, it's always so nice to play a daily and see that the run only goes to Mom's heart, or to Mom even, and that's because you don't have to fight Hush on that particular run. Usually that is pretty bad, because that means there's a lot more variance included in the fact that you have to find ways to go forward past your objective in order to just get a lot of score and even be competitive. But with Azazel, it's so nice that you don't have to be worried about fighting Hush, because fighting Hush with such small range as Azazel has is probably one of the most annoying things you can do in this game. And the fact that you always have to do it if you want to get the top scores, it's usually inevitable, and the fact that we can just avoid that objective completely is just a nice change of pace. And I really like the fact that as Azazel, that even that is somehow varied, in the sense that you usually don't want a run that only goes to Mom or to Mom's heart, because then of course you have to find ways to go forward via the shovel or maybe Awa's runes, but with Azazel it's kind of a nice thing, and there's even some little variance included there, and I think that's a nice change of pace. But even so, even the fact that we don't have to fight Hush, we're still very disadvantaged in the fact that, first of all, Azazel is a pretty boring character in my opinion, just because he does have that little brimstone. It makes him quite annoying to play as. The fact that it's so short, it really relies on you as the player to know the boundaries of enemies, knowing how much range they have, and basically to not be too impatient, because with some attacks with such short range, you just basically have to be patient if you want to be successful, and as soon as you stop being impatient, you're just gonna get hit against a lot of enemies, and the fact that we have to be wary of that makes this character somewhat challenging, but at the same time, because he's so powerful, I think it makes him just more tedious and annoying to play as than he really has any right to be. Thankfully, we do have some good things going on for us here, and just because we're Azazel, we don't really need a lot of items early on to really get going. If you're playing a weaker character, someone like Maggie maybe, then it can become quite heinous if you don't get any damage ups or maybe any DPS upgrades at all in the first two floors. The third floor and the fourth floor can be quite annoying, but thankfully as Azazel we don't really need those to be successful. And the first item we got, well, I picked up, was the fanny pack, and the fanny pack is an item that I think is very underused by a lot of players, and I think that's because a lot of it's a shop item basically, so you kind of have to go out of your way and make a conscious decision of buying it. And when you see just a very underwhelming item, it doesn't look cool like Sulfur or Brimstone or maybe Tech X, so people aren't as inclined to buy it. And for that reason, I think a lot of people don't even maybe know what it does. But what it does is whenever you get hit, there's a chance that you're gonna drop a consumable. And that doesn't really seem that amazing, just because, you still have to get hit. So that means you either need intentionally to take damage, which is obviously a bad thing in dailies, or maybe have a way to damage yourself without racking up that damage penalty. It really doesn't make up for the fact that when you get hit you just get a consumable, especially on a run like this, because we do have a lot of consumables, a lot of money, which means that there's no problem really to open up chests and visit shops and visit treasure rooms. But on a lot of runs, it doesn't really serve the purpose of being an item that maybe makes up for the fact that you get hit, like some items do. So some items are so powerful that when you get hit, of course, you maybe generate flies, and those flies can then kill the enemy which hit you. Or maybe even having black hearts, you kill everyone in the room. So in those scenarios, when you get hit, it's basically like a trade-off, you're trading one hit of damage in order to just clear the whole room. And I think that's a fair trade when you think about it, especially because there's damage penalty involved. But with Fanny Pack, it's not really like that. Fanny Pack, in my opinion, is more an item that is used for breaking the game, or maybe not breaking it, but maybe leveraging your advantages. So obviously, if you do have an ability to damage yourself, Fanny Pack becomes incredibly useful, because it becomes more of a secondary resource of consumables you can get. And of course, with that on dailies, it means it's also a nice source of score that you can get, which also increases the more you actually get hit. So basically what I'm trying to get at here is, whenever you pick up Fanny Pack, you're really on the lookout for the Ivy Bag, because the Ivy Bag is the item that is going to make all of this possible. Also, if we found a way to maybe regenerate our health somewhat consistently, like we do in this run, surprisingly, then we can really abuse the fact that we have basically unlimited health, and that we can basically keep damaging ourselves, and some of those damage, or maybe some of the damage we're going to take, is going to translate directly into score just via the fact that we're going to get some consumables. The Fanny Pack is also great because not only does it give you some random keys and bombs, it can also have a chance to give you cards, and cards are nice because they have a lot of 2-of cards, and 2-of cards obviously double your consumables, which is just amazing, especially early on when you're still maybe racking up the consumables. But at this point that we are now, that we have 60 cents, 50 bombs, 23 keys, Getting a 2 of card is very, very useful because that means that essentially we're capping out how many consumables we can get before that fall off begins. So basically, if you don't know how the scoring system works, you get a bunch of scores up until 99 cents, or 99 bombs or 99 keys, and after that it's just added as a consumable bonus, and that consumable bonus after you pick up 99 of a certain consumable is much lower than when you're actually filling up your inventory, I guess. So for that reason, it's nice to have a chance of getting that 2 of cards, because it really speeds up the process of trying to get the maximum swag bonus. And I think, if you don't know, the swag bonus or the consumables bonus is capped at around 15,500 points, which means that you can only get so many points before eventually this stops working. And even that, I always say that I feel it's a bit too high, because it relies on the player to actively break the game. You can't really achieve that by just picking up consumables randomly on the floor. In order to get it, you really need to pick hundreds and hundreds of coins or hundreds of keys. That's also because the damage fall off, or maybe not the damage, but the point fall off is so severe that after you pick up 50 or 60 consumables, it just stops adding up so fast, which means that you have to pick more and more of them to actually stay relevant and get a lot of points. But of course, like I said, if you want to compete on the daily leaderboards or maybe get the top 5 spot, you really need to break the game, because with so many people playing, one of them is bound to find a combination that will allow them to get an unlimited amount of points, and you really have to abuse that if you want to stay competitive. So we do have basically all 3 combinations that we need in order to stay in that zone of getting a lot of points, and that is because Boss Rush was very nice to us. So what I did is I kept the Temperance card, and the Temperance card spawns the Blood Machine. So the Blood Machine, then we can generate health to it, and of course it gives us coins, which is obviously great. We also damage ourselves. I abused it a bit to get Polaroid Invisibility in Boss Rush, but I was hoping that eventually it would pay out with an IV bag, and thankfully that's exactly what it did. So then I repeated the process. Every time I got health, I use it, drop down to half a heart, meaning I get Polaroid Invisibility, I kill the bosses or try to kill as many of them as possible, and when that happens, at the end, because I have the Blood Penny, I pick up the coins that are on the ground, I get more health, and then I can keep doing that again, basically the unlimited amount of times, or until I run out of coins or maybe red health, which I can use then to sacrifice my health. And that was easy to do on the previous floor because we only took half a heart of damage. That becomes much more difficult on this one because every time we use the IV bag, we take a full heart of damage and get the same amount of coins. So if you think about it, basically the Blood Penny gives you half a heart every use, and the IV bag gives you 1 or 2 cents every time you use it, which means that it's not exactly a plus EV situation, meaning that not every time you use the IV bag you're gonna get the same amount of hearts back from the Blood Penny, which means that this is not a sustainable combo. So we need some other way to actually generate pennies or hearts that we can actually stay competitive. So if you wanted this to be exactly equal or wanting it to work out, we would really want more coins than 2, so that means that we can actually restore our health back to full. But thankfully what happens in this particular situation, we had Maggie's bow, I think. Maggie bow, what it does, every time you pick half a heart up, you get 1 full heart, and not only that, every time you pick 1 full heart, you actually get 2 hearts. So that essentially doubles down and makes every use of the IV bag produce more than half a heart. So if you're following me, basically every time we use IV bag, we got 1 or 2 cents, and there's 50% chance that we're gonna get half a heart out of it, which is because of Maggie's bow actually a full heart, which means that every use is guaranteed, or not guaranteed, but is more likely to actually give us a full heart back because of the combination of items we have, which means that the combo is sustainable, meaning that we can keep doing it if we have enough coins to start it with. And of course, this is some statistical theory going behind it. If you know statistics, I think it makes sense what I'm saying. But basically what you need to do is generate more health than you're expending by picking up coins with the Blood Penny, and the fact that we have Maggie's bow allows us to do exactly that. Also, the fact that we have Fanny's pack, it will also produce sometimes a full red hearts, which are actually 2 red hearts, and that will boost our powers or maybe just allow us to produce a bunch of coins even better. So what I do here is I have the Yara rune. I was hoping for a blank heart, it didn't happen. I pick up the half a heart and just stack all of the coins in one particular room. And this is enough of a head start that we're practically guaranteed to be able to keep doing that for an unlimited amount of time, or until the swag dropout or the consumable dropout points is decent enough. So you can see there's a lot of hearts on the floor. Of course, I just go around, pick them up, and then use my Ivy bag as many times as I can before actually hitting my spirit hearts. And you basically just keep doing that. The fact that you have blood penny, you will produce a lot of red hearts. You can just keep doing that for a lot of time. In my case, I did it again for like 20-30 minutes. But I don't care because we really need a good score here. So that's maybe a bit ambitious of me, but what can you do about it? So I do go back. I just keep doing the same combo over and over again, basically picking up the coins and then using the Ivy bag to get more coins and get more health. Eventually, Fanny Pack gives us more health, which means we can trade that for coins, and we just basically pick up the consumables. We get to 99 of every consumable. We just get a bunch of score, and thankfully that is it. We finished in 9th, which is a single-digit score, which has not happened, I think, as of playing this daily. We're actually still 2nd if you exclude the cheaters, or if you look on greedbot.com, which is the same score as yesterday. So I'm really happy that we were able to get top 3 twice in a row, and especially after a bunch of bad dailies. Thankfully, this breaking combination of items that we got allowed us to get a very high Shrek bonus, which again is just consumable bonus. You can see that we got 15,000 points. Sure, it was a work because we had to spam the spacebar a lot and it took us a lot of time, but it was worth it. You know, we did gain such a high rank, and I'm really glad that this worked out as it did. The fact that we have 41,000 points on a run that should only go to Mom's Heart is a very good score indeed. It's possible to go maybe even higher, but I think the damage penalty here is the biggest contributor to me actually not getting a higher score. So hopefully we can reduce that in the future, and of course I just should play a bit more careful and try not to get hit as much. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.